Hey everybody, today I want to talk about how to create beautiful cinematic animations in D5 Render. So before we hop into the engine, I want to talk a little bit about this theory of cinematography and what makes some shots more beautiful than others. So in my opinion, the best place to learn is literally from cinema itself. So Christopher Nolan, you know him from Interstellar, Dark Knight, Tenet, all these fantastic movies. And I think it's really important to just study professional directors' shots to understand the pacing and the types of shots we should be using when we're doing our own ArchViz animations. So watch this. I'm going to play this fantastic highlight reel from this guy Amazing Shots, who put together a bunch of Christopher Nolan shots just so you can pay attention. So a lot of these are architectural, which kind of fits, the vibe we're going for. And then we're going to hop into D5. So I'm just going to play this, and I want you to pay attention to the camera's movements, right? The camera is usually going side to side, it's panning, or it's rolling up, and there's always some sort of focus. And so I'm going to say focus a lot during this video because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to convey the story to our audience, right? So here you can see it's like this building that's lit up with the orange, right? The character's moving to the left, right? So there's always one thing of focus that the director is responsible for conveying, right? So here we go. Light is really, really important, especially in these dark scenes. So this is what I want to explain when we do this in D5. So here it's like the shot is, so here we got a stationary shot and then it drops down and it breaks the perspective. Again, we're focused on the actors, right? So just very subtle movements. We see the space station kind of breaking up here. Again, we see the soldiers going down, but think about the timing here, right? Like it's hard to keep up because we're talking about 3 to 5 second shots. They go quick, and that's kind of where we are in society right now. We don't do these like super long angles or shots. They're just very quick. 3 to 5 seconds is the sweet spot, and very slow, gentle pacing of the camera. So enough of this. Let's go into D5. If you want to follow along, I am using the volume 153 from Scene Express. It's this project right here. I want to talk about how to actually do this in D5. So now that I've got the scene open, you're going to want to go over here to the video tab. You're going to click that, and we're going to be creating a new clip. So you'll see right here, this should be empty for you. This is the timeline. This is where all of our shots are going to live, and we can move them around, and we can take different camera angles. So we want to reproduce the same things we were looking at in the Christopher Nolan shots. So what I like to do is, if you have a scene that's already dialed in terms of like the lighting, the camera settings and everything, I actually recommend clicking that. That way it loads up your angles and your shots. That way you don't have to rebuild everything from scratch, right? So if there's something you really like, go ahead and take care of that. So this, I'm actually going to toggle on 2-point perspective. So I'm just going to switch there. Looks like it got bugged. And that way I've got nice verticals, right? So I'm going to kind of position this however I want. And what I always recommend is start with some sort of establishing shot, right? So people know like this is the building we're talking about, and then go into the little details, right? A lot of the shots we were looking at before, they were like aerials of a city, right? So that's establishing the setting. So that's why I'm talking about that. So all we have to do is hit add current view. And right now, if I hit play on my timeline, nothing's going to happen because we actually haven't added any movement to the camera. So all I want to do is move my camera slowly up and forward, and now hit this. And now if I go back and I start, I'm going to have this nice slow swoop. And again, my focus is this building. So that's why I've kind of centered it here. If you want to be a little more creative, you go over to display and you can turn on your rule of thirds. What you could do is align the building that way, where it's on the first third of the building. So watch this. You do something like this. Okay. And now let me resync this. And now we're going to have a centered building kind of go off to the side. So if you want, you can rewrite your angles by repositioning the camera. So let's say I do this. I'm locking that on there and then refresh. Okay. And now that's been updated. So you could do that. I do recommend having the rule of thirds on. I think it's super useful. So I'm going to just tweak this slightly. I kind of liked it in the center, but again, I want to show you all the different tools we have here. All right, perfect. And if you don't like a shot at all, you could literally just click it and erase it. So you'll notice when I go from here to here, there's a certain pace, right? A certain timing. And that's all dictated by this right here. It's the amount of seconds to go from scene A to scene B. So if I were to change this to 10 seconds, right? And I start from the beginning, it's going to be so slow. right? Because now it takes 10 seconds to go from A to B. If you want it to be quicker, you lessen the time, right? So now this is 2 seconds, and it's going to feel a little bit too quick. Might be a little jarring for users. Generally speaking, my shots are between like 5 to 8 seconds, and this is going to vary on the distance of shot A and B, right? Obviously, the more ground you need to cover, the longer it should be. That way it feels nice and soft and not jarring, right? That's the most important thing. So I highly recommend that. And then the other thing I'll say is, when it comes to these shots, you don't want long continuous shots. So if I were to, go forward some more, right? And then hit this, now I've got 10 seconds. I've got 5 seconds between these two transitions, equaling 10 seconds. So if I boosted this to 12, it's now 6 and 6. So you see the relationship there? It's the transitions added up to equal the output, which is 12 seconds. So now I've got this like really long shot. This isn't great. This is what I was talking about before with how the Nolan shots were cut. It was like every 3 to 5 seconds there was a transition. This is too long. Humans these days just don't have the attention span for this. So keep it short. Before I did say that my shots are usually 5 to like 10 seconds. And I know that's longer than what I said. And the reason I have it be up to 10 seconds is just so I have more footage. So I could trim the front or the end if I want. And I'm usually trimming it in either Premiere or Camtasia, basically a video editor. So if I don't like the beginning of a shot, I can just trim that. So anyways, we've got this nice establishing shot of our project, right? And so the whole point of this is to kind of tell the story to our client about what's going on with our project, showing off some of the details. So this is when I start moving closer into the building and I do a jump cut. So what that means is, let's say I move over here and I'm just going to switch to perspective because sometimes the 2-point can get a little funny. And now I want to find something interesting in the building. Let's say this is what I want to focus on. I can go right here and hit create view from current view. And now I've got a jump from this establishing shot to this. So let me go back there. Looks like my 2-point is kicking in, which is weird because it says perspective. Okay, let me just resync that. And now if I move my camera around, let's say I do something like this, and I hit that, now you're going to see 2 shots. This one, and then a close-up shot. But you see how jarring that transition was? That's because my timing's at 3 seconds. So this is why I keep saying 5 to 10 seconds. So now let's try that one more time. That's a little bit better. And if you notice, there's a slight slowdown at the end of shot 1 and a slight ramp up on shot 2. I don't like that. In general, I feel like that's way too clunky. This is called easing in and out. So what you want to do is click your shot and just turn your move to linear. Same thing with shot 2. And now watch the difference. So now we're going to go to shot 1. It's going to go straight and keep going. And then it's just going to pick up. So this is a nice jump cut. It's about the same speed, right? If I want, I could probably bump this up to 6. And it'll probably be around the same pacing. And it's really important that each of the shots have that same speed. You don't want to be going, 5 miles per hour and then jump to 20 miles per hour. It's going to be a little too drastic. And that's what this is all about, keeping a constant pace. So now that I've got this cool little orbit shot, I might fly around and try and find some other interesting spots. Like I might do like a simple zoom up and down like this. So I could do here, current view, and then I'm just going to go up and do that. And you'll see, just like before, we've got our nice linear, and then this is going to slow up and then ramp up a bit. It's going to feel a little too fast. Again, that's that 3 seconds. So let me make it 6. And I'm going to change the move to be linear. And now it's all consistent. So we go this way, then we go that way. This might be a little too slow, so I'll probably bring this down to 5. Okay. And this is really a lot of what I'm doing is just replaying and seeing if it's the same speed. That's so important. The other thing I'll pay attention to is if there's any overlaps or flickering. That's what's going on here. It looks like there's two meshes on top of each other, all different colors, and they're fighting for who should be displayed. So since I don't own the 3D model, the one trick you could do is actually just make it the same material. You're going to have a little bit of a flicker, but it won't be as contrast heavy as white against gray. What I would do if I had the file, I'd hop into either Rhino, 3ds Max, and just remove the overlapping geometry. That's another thing. This is so distracting, and a client isn't going to want to, see this because it's your eye goes right here, right? You get what I mean. So what I would do real quick is just check what's going on with the materials. I'd grab this, and then I would just eye drop here. That way it's fixed, right? You see that? Much, much cleaner. So now if I go back to video and let's drop it here, that flickering's gone. Okay. So pay attention to those like weird moments. So talking about weird moments, let's talk about like moving traffic and people, right? The dynamic aspects of this. So let me go down here and I'm going to hit P. And let's just say we're doing some sort of like aerial zoom in. Maybe this is actually your establishing shot. So watch this. If I go to current view, okay, and I zoom in a bit, and then I do that, right? Because I want to create that shot. Let's do 6 seconds. And again, make it linear. And now when I play this, notice how the cars and the people aren't moving. Okay. So that's a little weird because if this is like a city, right? The streets should be bustling, right? So watch this. There's a couple things to watch out for. First, we need to make sure the assets are actually on a path and that they are dynamic. So if you don't know what I mean, if I X out this, if I go over to assets, let's go under character. You see this little thing? This is dynamic, okay? Let me show you the difference between the two. So let me grab Abigail here, who's sitting. Switch to perspective. And I'm gonna put Abigail right here, okay? And I'm gonna put girl 64 here. Notice how Abigail's moving and the girl is not, right? The reason is she's dynamic and she isn't. You can always filter right here by dynamic only. That way you have assets that move and have an idle cycle. If they don't, they're just going to be standing still. So this person on the path, or these people at least, will move, but this person will not. Some people have an idle cycle, like this guy standing, and he's part of the group, right? Carrie standing, right? She's just a regular static person. So you really want someone that's dynamic. So let me remove that. I'll remove her as well. And I just want to add dynamic assets, and then they'll start moving along the path. So if I grab this guy, and then I grab, let's say, Betty and Barbara, let me make sure that it's hit add, make sure the checkboxes are there, and you're hitting plus, otherwise you're just overriding. So there we go. I can lower the density, and now they're walking. Obviously you want to add a little more variety, but that's basically how you fix this. And this was Betty waiting, so that's why she's standing there. So that's not good. We want walking. You could also just filter walking, and now you're only going to get walking people. So I'm going to click here, remove that, and let me grab Donald here. I'll hit this and grab this person. And now notice how we've got all these people moving around, right? This is a lot more interesting than people just being static. So I'd remove anyone standing. So there you go. Now you literally have like a walking group of people, right? The only issue is you see this like spline, they're going in one way. Because people can only go in one direction. So watch this. You see direction A or B. You can't do multiple lanes like you would with traffic, which I'll show you in a second. So this is my little trick. I actually just hold down shift, drag out, and now I have a duplicated path, and I switch the direction. That way there's a group of people, but obviously they're overlapping on each other, right? So what I always do is I go to edit path, and then I just play with the actual pathing here. That way it's like you've got people going down one way and going down the other way, kind of like your own lanes of traffic. And I would always recommend swapping out the assets so it's not the same people, especially people that stick out, like this person with the red. So that's the deal there. But you can see this looks much better. So if I were to go back to video and then play this aerial shot, we've got movement here. But now let's talk about the traffic. The traffic isn't moving. So what's going on there? Let's take a look. you'll notice that there are no paths, right? These are just statically placed assets, which is fine if you're doing just renderings, but when you're doing animations, this isn't going to work. So what I would recommend if you're in this situation, just filter out all your vehicles, select them all, either put them on a layer or just hit delete. Let's get those out of there. And now what we can do is go to assets. Let's go to vehicle. Okay, clear this out and grab your path tool right here. You can also get it from here as well. Same exact thing. You could do vehicle, doesn't really matter. And what I want to do is I'm just going to grab the center line, but I need to select vehicles first. So let's grab some Teslas. We'll grab this Lucid. We'll grab the Jag, or Range Rover, Land Rover kind of guy. I'll drive the Benz. Okay, great. So we got a bunch of cars. So now I'm just going to path, and now you'll see that they're going. But obviously this isn't correct, right? Because we've got them going through the median, right? So I'm just going to hit done real quick. And there's a couple things going on. You see the lanes here, right? If I hit 3, now I have 3 lanes. If I hit 4, got 4 lanes of traffic. If I want to go forward and backwards, I want dual, okay? So now I've got 2 on the right going that way, and then I've got 2 on the left going this way, right? And it's always going to be paired in a multiple of 2. So now I can get, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. So I would increase the width here. That way it covers my street, right? So because of the actual positioning of the assets here, like these tree assets, I probably wouldn't do a dual here, and I'd probably do a dual this way. I'd probably do like one path this way and another path that way, because you see how they're kind of clipping into each other. I'd say this path is better suited for this street. So watch this. So if I were to rotate this, and it is a mesh, it is an object, right? You can actually just move it. And then I would tighten the amount of lanes and lower the width. So you see how much better that looks? Because now they're not clipping into anything. I'd probably fix that bush. So to make it correct, I would actually just grab another path, and then I would go to the middle of this lane, right? And then I would play with this, right? So obviously I'm doing this super quick. I probably wouldn't have 2 paths overlapping on each other. You could have a path bend. So let me show you that. If you don't want, crazy traffic, right? You could just do this. So you go path, and I'll show you around here. I would do something like this. And you see this curve? I'll click curve and click this. And now I've got them bending, right? Which is kind of cool. So now they're literally turning. So I would probably, tweak these a little bit more and move this so it's a little bit smoother, and then hit done. So what you could do after you edit a path is once you click a node, you can move it around, and then you can fine tune all the details. So I'm gonna hit done, and there we go. So now they're turning. So you could do that there if you want. But anyways, the point is to show that you can easily add life to your scene. So now if I were to go back to this shot and then hit play, I've got all this traffic. So this looks so much cooler than before. And since this is like an establishing shot, I'd probably have this earlier on in my project. So I could either have it, in the beginning or after shot 1. So I could do something like that. But just know the whole point is that it is drag and drop. So you see this. So we've got this cool shot up here. Then we've got some shots looking down in the aerial. The pacing's good. But just to recap my point here, right? We're talking about having, a consistent point A to point B around the same distance, around the same speed, have dynamic elements, and have something interesting to show, right? If we're thinking back to a Christopher Nolan example, there was always a point of a focus, right? So try to minimize how many things are in focus, right? And highlight the parts of your project, and don't do long, windy paths, right? Keep it to these nice little jump cuts. So once you're happy with your animation, you can go over here and export out a video. I usually do 1080p and then 30 FPS. If I'm doing like a test to see if anything's like flickering or looking weird, I might drop this down to 720 or 480. Generally to do like a minute worth of footage, I can probably get it out in less than like an hour, usually around like 45 minutes. Again, that's going to depend on the complexity of your scene, how many things are going on, but that seems to be the sweet spot in case you need to budget your time. But in general, I feel like this is such an easy value add to your client. You're already building the scene up for renderings, right? Why not add something a little bit more immersive, right? Or interactive. So that's why I think this is a great tedium. So anyways, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. As usual, please like. If you have a question, drop it in the comments. And as always, please subscribe. Helps the channel out. See you next time.